Hello, everyone. Welcome to the USO MVP series. Thank you so much for your service. Thank you for joining us today. We are certainly very excited about our very special guest. She is a #1 New York Times best-selling author whose romance novels have been translated into 37 languages across the globe. Now, in the US alone, there are over 10 million copies of her books in print. I'm sure some of y'all have read some. And in the past year, her best-selling book series, Bridgerton, also has become a monster hit and an Emmy-nominated Netflix series. So I know you are as thrilled as I am to meet the one and only, the ever-talented Julia Quinn. Julia, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited to be here.
We are so excited to have you. Thank you so much. I know you're no stranger to service and giving back, especially to the U.S. military. Now, we were talking before the show, Julia, and you're very excited about something that you're doing. So I want you to be able to spill the beans to everybody about the giveaway that you're doing.
Yeah. Okay, so this is actually the 11th year I've done this. I do a giveaway on Veterans Day every year, and I give away, usually it's 100 books. Lately it's been 150, and I'll explain why, but it's 100 books, and all you have to do to enter is be a service member, a military spouse, a veteran, or a Gold Star family member. And it's on the honor system. Nobody's going to check your records. And you just enter, and we pick 100 winners out of, just randomly, and it can either be ebooks or paper books, and I give away 100 books every year. One thing that's different this year that I'm really excited about is that the paper books will be autographed. In the past, I've sent them directly from Amazon, but this year I'm sending them from my local bookstore. So I can't personalize them, but they will all be autographed. And then the ebooks can either be Kindle or Nook, your preference. There's a full form. But about 3 or 4 years ago, one of my readers who chooses to remain anonymous said to me that she wants to support this as well. And so every year she sends me a gift certificate. It was at Amazon, but now it's at University Bookstore where I work to send the paper books so that I can send more. And so now we do 150 books. So it's a joint thing between me and an anonymous reader who says she has no personal connection to the military. She doesn't have family in the military. She just wants to support our troops and our military families as I do. So please, if you're watching, please enter. If you're able to watch this, you are able to enter this giveaway. And if you just go to my website, you'll see it's all listed there. Just go to the website, you'll find it.
Wow,
Which is JuliaQuinn.com.
Right, that's important. JuliaQuinn.com. That's so beautiful. I love that person is remaining anonymous but giving back each year, and that's so cool. I love that. I think kindness is hereditary, is contagious. Maybe also hereditary.
I hope it's hereditary. I have children.
I love it. Well, for those of you all joining us today, thank you so much for being here again. Please go ahead and use the chat box as well, so you can submit your questions to Julia. We're going to get to as many as we possibly can, but also you can use the chat box to shout out and let us know where you're coming from as well. Yeah, we're going to jump in, Julia. What's that?
Can I see the chat box?
You don't have to worry about a thing, Julia, because it's going to go too fast for you to be able to be distracted with that while talking. So don't.
I like seeing it though. Okay, I put it down there so I like
to see you guys personally. I love it. You guys are so funny. Well, Julia, we can jump in really quick. I know you're coming from the Pacific Northwest. I hope it's not too cold there, but
no, we actually had incredible weather over the weekend, and of course it turned overcast again. But
it's the Seattle area. It's a beautiful place. It's green. Well, we're going to jump over to Germany. How does that sound? What do you think about that?
That sounds so exciting.
We've got a video question from Cassandra Williams from the USO Virtual Book Club, and she's got a question for you.
Hi, I'm Cassandra Williams, and I am a lead volunteer with the USO Overseas Virtual Book Club. In November, we'll be reading The Duke and I, and as we become briefly introduced to some of the members of the Bridgerton family, we are wondering if you wouldn't mind sharing some of your favorite Bridgerton siblings. So out of all of the brothers, Anthony, Benedict, Colin, and Gregory, who is your favorite? And out of all the sisters, Daphne, Eloise, Francesca, and Hyacinth, who's your favorite?
Oh, that's a terrible question.
You have the big favorites.
I can't pick a favorite. So I do get asked variations on that question a lot. Who's your favorite sibling, or just who's your favorite character? What's your favorite book? And the truth is, it's an impossible question to ask for a number of reasons. But I think here's one way to think about it. When you read a book, you read it over the course of a day, a few days, maybe a week if you're putting down. I read that book for 4 to 6 months. So that book becomes a piece of my life. And so each book is special to me in different ways. And it may be for something that's in the book, or it may be for something that's not even in the book, but that was in my life while I was writing it, or some emotion I had while writing it. Maybe because it was very hard and I overcame it. Maybe because it was easy and that was fabulous. And so I have a lot of extraneous emotions tied up in books and characters as well. And so there truly is something special about each one to me. And I honestly can't choose. I will say I'm pretty darn excited to see Anthony's story next season on Netflix. I've read most of the scripts and I think people are going to be really excited. So I'll cheat and say right now, we'll go with Anthony because he's next. How about that?
I know. I was going to say that question is sort of like asking a mom to pick a favorite of her children, right? It's a hard one.
It is. I mean, can I also maybe cheat and just go with Violet, the mom now? Because, as I get older, I think I relate to her even more. And one of the things I really loved about Violet was that she actually, I think, appears in more books of the series than anyone else. I mean, I don't think any sibling appears in every single book. You always have your main characters, and then there are always some side characters showing up as secondary characters. But I think Violet might be the only one who's everywhere. And so I got a chance to really get to know her in a way I don't know that I've ever done with any other character. And if you look at how she is in the first book of the series, The Duke and I, she's actually not nearly as three-dimensional and fully fleshed out as she is toward the end. I mean, she really starts off as this typical Regency mama trying to get her kids married off. And then, just pieces of her keep revealing itself throughout the series. By the end, she's, you're just like, you're the best mother who ever lived. So I'll cheat and go with her as well.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that, Julie. I know it's hard to pick favorites, but thank you for doing that for us.
Yeah, and thank you, Cassandra, for the question, even if I didn't exactly answer it.
Well, I think you did pretty well. I think Cassandra will be very happy with your answer. We're going to take a live look now over at Camp Arifjan in Kuwait. They're going to join us live. So come on in, guys. Welcome in.
Hi, Julia and Kelly.
Hi.
I'm Carrie. I'm the Center Programs Manager here at USO Camp Arifjan. And we have 3 lovely ladies this evening who are going to ask you a question, Julia. So I will move out of the way.
Thank you. Thank you all for your service.
Hi, Julia. My name is Carolyn Brown. How are you?
I'm so excited to see you. This is amazing.
I'm from Cheyenne, Wyoming. I'm actually deployed with the 29th Infantry Division, the Division Surgeon Cell here. So my question for you is, what inspired you to write about the Regency era?
I think it started out as just something I like to read. Way back in junior high, I was reading books set in the Regency era, and there used to be, it doesn't really exist so much anymore, but there used to be this little subgenre called Regency Romances, which are not quite what I write Regency historical romances. These were shorter, they were sweeter, they didn't, the intimate scenes ended, you close the bedroom door, and they were actually really suitable for, a preteen girl. And I loved them. I loved the dialogue, the witty repartee, the romance. And then I just kind of graduated to the Regency historicals, and it was just what I like to read for fun. And so when I sat down to write my first book, I think it just kind of made sense that I would start with what I enjoyed reading. And once I started writing, it became clear to me, but it became apparent to me that there were things about this particular time period that actually were very well suited for my particular skill set as a writer. I'm pretty good at dialogue. I'm not great at description. I mean, I'm not bad at description, but it's not my thing, so for me to write in a time period where, there's this, snappy dialogue going back and forth is just perfect, where flirtation is so much conversational. It just works very well for me. And I just stuck with it. I really like it. And then I also think, and this isn't so much necessarily just me, but for everybody who likes the time period, I think the reason it's so popular is that it is far enough in the past that we can let it have a certain fairy tale quality. It's we can let people behave in ways that are a little bit, unreal. We've got a little bit of that fairy tale stuff, but it's close enough to the present that human beings behave in ways that are fundamentally understandable to us. Like if you go all the way back to, say, medieval times, you have character, religiosity and mysticism is a huge part of life. So people think about the universe and the world and society in such a different way that it is really, just not, it doesn't connect with the modern way of thinking at all, but Regency is close enough that it does. And so you've got this great little intersection of fairy tale, but modernity. And it's, if you come too much closer, the real world seeps in a little too much. And if you go too much back, it's too different. So I don't know. I think it just works.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your question, Carolyn.
My stepmother's from Wyoming, so yay.
Wyoming's gorgeous.
Hi.
Hello, everyone. Hi. I'm Joelle Hemmings. I'm with the 811 Hospital Center, so it's a medical unit. I actually reside in Texas, but the medical unit is from Missouri. I'd just like to ask the following question. Is there something that you're a fan of from the Regency era that you wish you could bring back to modern times?
Oh. I think, well, I've been warned. There are things I wouldn't want to, and I can't get, unfortunately, this may verge into political, so I can't do it, but there are certain aspects to modern medicine that I really enjoy having. So I wouldn't want to do without that. I was going to ask, actually, what do you do in your medical unit?
I'm actually a public health nurse. So in terms of pandemic, epidemic, things of that nature, we know that quite a bit happened back in the Regency era, and we're looking at a similar events nowadays, currently.
Oh, that's wonderful. So my husband's actually an infectious disease specialist. So, and he's in charge of, antibiotic and antiviral stewardship at a major university hospital. So I would not want to live without my antibiotics and other things like that. I guess in terms of things to bring back, just like a certain level of discourse or just like intelligence in personal conversation, like actual like words. I just remember once listening to, really trying not to get political here, but I was listening to a politician from a foreign country speak, and he was using like actual intelligent words, and I was just like, wow, I wish more public people would use real words. I know we're laughing. It's just, I think we could use more vocabulary in our public discourse. How about that?
I will say to you, I think I agree quite a bit. I remember the days where watching the news was actually newsworthy. People were able to share information intelligently. You could count on it being uplifting to your educational level, so to speak. Sometimes nowadays, that's a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah, I mean, like, even if you don't necessarily agree with what you're hearing, it's nice when it's presented in a way that, Kelly's just laughing because I'm dancing around. I'm warned, about politics and stuff, and so I'm trying so hard. But I just, I will say that these problems are coming from all sides, and it's not just necessarily politics, but just when people talk about culture or entertainment or influencers or Twitter and all these things, people are, I love, we love things like Bridgerton and Pride and Prejudice and stuff because we love the way people are talking. And I think you still can talk with that intelligence and robust vocabulary and verve, I guess, and without necessarily being old fashioned. And so that's what I would like to bring back is just a respect for language.
And Joelle, here's a little something else uplifting and positive, Joelle, because I've heard a little birdie told us some news today, Joelle. Is it your birthday?
It is.
Is it your birthday?
It is very much
Happy
my birthday.
birthday.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, it was a pleasure,
Thank you
ladies.
for taking the
We're
time to
gonna-
be here and celebrate.
Thank you so much.
And thank
Have a
you.
great day as well.
Thank you so much for your service.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, how are you? My name is Anna. I'm also a medical provider. I'm deployed in the same hospital as Joe. That's my first deployment far away from my family. And I want to thank you for taking your time and donating your time for the questions. I really enjoyed the series when I watched it back home. And you can probably detect a Russian accent that I'm speaking with. So one of my questions is, did you draw any inspiration from Russian authors like Tolstoy when you were writing?
So first of all, I want to thank you for your service, especially if you are originally an immigrant to the United States. I just think that's incredible, and I'm so grateful for all that you do. In terms of Russian, I did take a class on Russian literature my senior year of college, and I wouldn't say I took inspiration from Russians because, it seems like at least what they teach us in the United States of, great Russian writers, it's kind of depressing. And, and so I wanted more cheery, uplifting books.
Right.
I'm sorry, what? We got a little lag.
I think there's a little bit of a delay there. Sorry, guys.
That's okay. I wanted to say that I have a book called What Happens in London, which has a little bit of a Russian subplot. And what it is there's a Russian prince who comes to town. And so, and the hero suspects maybe he's a spy, and the hero actually speaks Russian. So anyway, so that was really fun to do. And my cousin married a man who grew up in Moscow. So I would go to him, his name's Boris. I would go to Boris and be like, I need you to translate all this stuff for me. So that was really fun. And I get a lot of people asking me to write a book about Prince Alexei. So who knows, maybe someday we'll get Prince Alexei in there. We'll see. But he's a really fun character, and it was really fun to write that. And yeah.
So any of your personal life events entered your book?
It's never anything quite so direct. Especially because I'm very much a person of the 21st century, and my books are set in the early 1800s, but there are bits of me everywhere. For example, the characterization of Penelope Featherington, who, I love the way Nicola Coughlan plays her on the show, and she's amazing. But I pulled a lot of my own experiences as a teenager, especially in high school, and that sense of, not so much not knowing who you are, but feeling like, okay, I know who I am, but how come I can't figure out a way to be that person on the outside? And I think a lot of people feel that sort of that sense of, how come what I am inside isn't showing up outside? Why does the wrong thing come out? And so I really, so it's a lot of my own personal experiences flavor things, but it's pretty rare that something that actually happened in my life shows up in a book. There's one I can think of. I have a book where somebody is cooking plum jam and it kind of explodes everywhere and somebody gets burned. And that actually happened, not to me, but to my dad. He was okay. But, so little things like that, but it's not, there's very little direct stuff, but I think for almost any author, pieces of her show up all over the place.
Thank you so much for your questions. And thank you guys for joining us today. Thank you so much for your service.
Thank you so much.
Take care, you guys.
I can't believe that's still amazing to me that people, I remember I'm old enough that, when you would pick up the phone and it was connected to the wall with a curly wire. So the fact that I'm looking at people at a base in Kuwait is just astounding to me.
Right. I totally agree. I think there's been something really remarkable with the pandemic that we found ways to connect more regularly virtually, which I think is really wonderful. So we've actually got a question now from Sarah Davis from the chat. Did you get sad when you outed Lady Whistledown and had to stop writing her papers.
Oh, yeah. And I don't know if sad's the right word. So in the books, I'm guessing this isn't any spoiler for me, but in the books, she comes out, emerges as who I don't know if comes out's the right word, but in book 4. In the series, they ended up doing it at the end of season 1. And the reason for that was because, there are probably other reasons, but one reason was that they realized they're like, everybody's just going to Google it, right? How we can't keep this a secret. I was, in some ways I was sad because it was really, really fun to write that. I mean, her columns are so much fun. Wait a minute, do I have, sorry. Just occurred to me, I have something to show you in a minute, but her columns are so much fun. And so I was sad to do that. But in terms of stopping sort of this mystery, it felt like if I tried to keep doing it, it would really be kind of like drawing it out and milking it and, being like, I'm just stringing you along for, so people will buy my books. I mean, it felt in terms of the way the stories and the characters were going that it was time to do it. But so one thing that's really fun, though, is I have this new book coming out. And it's not out yet, but I have an early copy called The Wit and Wisdom of Bridgerton. And most of this is old material. It's like quotes and stuff from the books. But each chapter is about a different character, and each chapter has a new Whistledown entry, which was incredibly fun to write. So there we go.
Oh, that's awesome.
But it's this really pretty book. I mean, it's got more than one color in it and all sorts of fun, curly cues. Anyway, so I did get to, for the first time in over probably 15 years or maybe 12 years, I don't even know, write new Lady Whistledown columns. And that was really, really fun. So I got to go back to her a little bit. And that was fun enough that I'm thinking maybe I'll have to figure out a way to bring her back some more. So we'll see.
All right, something to look forward to. Julia, we're going to go back to Germany now. We've got another member of the USO Virtual Book Club with a video question. So let's take a look.
Hi, it's Cassandra Williams with the USO Overseas Virtual Book Club. And our next question is, if Lady Whistledown were to write about the Julia Quinn and what's happening in your life right now, what types of details would we expect to read in her society papers?
Okay. Whoa. Cassandra, I have a bone to pick with you. You ask the hardest questions. Oh my gosh. What would she say? Okay, she would say that Julia Quinn bought a new house. How about that? I did. And it's very exciting. If you're wondering what Bridgerton has done for me, this is, I was drinking coffee on the deck of my new house.
Oh, beautiful.
We'll say Julia Quinn was enjoying the sea air with her longtime husband, to whom she is still devoted. And truly, there is no scandal around her because she has been in love with this man since 1988. How about that?
Oh, I like that one. That's a refreshing one, Julia.
It is refreshing, but pretty boring, actually. But yeah, I have told my family that if I could write my own story, I would have met my husband a little bit later because I was only 18 when I met him.
Wow.
And I know. I mean, and I do think, I actually think I missed out on some stuff, sort of bonding with this person so young. But at the same time, I'm not going to throw him back, right? Be like, oh, come back in 5 years. No, you do what you do.
Right. Oh, well, it's awesome. And that's a really romantic love story in itself, for real life. You said boring, but I think it's perfect.
Yeah, well, I'm fine with things boring in that. I don't need the drama in my real life relationships, frankly. I'm happy to have them settled and happy and smooth and functional.
We've got folks standing by over in Hawaii now. We're going to go from Germany over to Hawaii at Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam. We're going to take a live look there. Hey, guys, come and join us.
Hi.
Hello. How are you? Thanks for joining us. Thank you for your service.
I'm just warning you right now. I'm taking a screenshot. So, okay. All right. Here we go. Wait, I'm got to smile. Everybody smile.
Cheers.
Please. Okay, there we go. I have to be able to prove to people I did this. This is amazing.
Right. Yeah. Well, we appreciate it. Thank you, Julia, for your time. We're here at Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam, Hawaii. beautiful day today outside. Sorry you can't see it, but it usually is beautiful. I don't know if you've ever been here, but if you have not, it's definitely worth the flight from wherever you are right now.
I have been to Pearl Harbor, and I have been to Hawaii, and I'm going to Hawaii on Sunday.
You gotta stop by, yeah.
I would. I'm going to be in Maui. My husband has a convention, so he'll be working, and I will be a vegetable by the pool.
Enjoy it. It's definitely worth it. Well, I'm the center manager here for the Joint Base USO. We have a couple of USO employees here as well. Francine, she's our area director, and Beck is our center operations manager. We're really excited to get a chance to talk to you. The questions that we're going to present to you are from our spouses. Unfortunately, we're in a kind of like a little bit of a controlled area since it is an ANC terminal. So we are going to be the ones talking to you, but really happy to be here and thank you for the opportunity. So I have a question from Anna Lopicolo, and her question, which I thought was great, is how do you fight writer's block and procrastination?
Oh, okay. So that is a great question. And what makes it so great, and that I don't think anybody has ever quite asked me like that, is that she says writer's block and procrastination, because they are not the same thing. And I don't know that I've ever been asked both of those together. So procrastination, I'll do that one first, because that's, I don't know if it's easier, but easier to explain. I mean, honestly, some of how I fight it is like, I don't want to impugn the creative process or make people think it's not a creative process, but like, I remember that I have to pay my bills. I mean, truly, I love what I do, but it is also my job, and it is also how I support my family. So just like, you have to get up and go to work, I have to get up and go to work, although I do still manage to procrastinate a lot. So that helps. Writer's block. I don't know if I get writer's block so much as like writer's malaise. I mean, I've never felt like I had no ideas or nothing was coming, but I have a book I wrote called The Sum of All Kisses. And I remember writing that book and just really struggling at the beginning. And I think I rewrote chapter 2 like 3 times, which is not how I usually work. I just couldn't get past the spot. And I remember I had gone, one thing I do actually to help myself after I've procrastinated forever is I will often go away for a week all by myself, where I don't have commitments to my family or to other, so that's good. So I'm off actually, I went to Mexico. I figured if I'm going to work, I might as well do it in a sunny location. It is actually really funny. I get down there and the people are like, why are you working in Mexico? And I say, well, I have to work somewhere. I might as well do it, where people are bringing me guacamole and margaritas and cleaning up after me. So, but I emailed him and I was like, I'm so discouraged and I can't seem to work through it. And he wrote back, he's like, you've been doing this for, at that point, it's probably 20 years. He goes, you're allowed to hate your job sometimes, and I think that actually was kind of a big weight off my back because, when you're a novelist, you're thinking, oh, I'm living the dream. Everybody's like, I want to write a novel. I want to be a novelist. And I get to do that. And then just have somebody give me permission to like hate it every now and then was kind of nice, to be like, oh yeah. And he's like, you're allowed to take some, take a break if you need to. And so for me that time, I just, it wasn't that I couldn't do it. I just didn't want to. And it was kind of weird. It just, and there's certain types of jobs you have where, if you don't want to do something, you still have to show up and get there. And it kind of forces the issue. With writing a book, it's a little tougher because like showing up is just showing up in front of your computer and nobody's watching. And on days like that, you'll be like, wow, I really wish I just worked at Starbucks where like, I couldn't like not wanting to do it can't stop me. And so for that, I took a little bit of a break and it's just like, I just need to step back. I can work on some other aspects of my job, some business stuff, and then restart. And that's what I did. And it helped a lot. And I have now talked in like this giant circle and I hope somewhere I answered the question.
No, I think that was great. Thank you, Julia. It's good to know that we're not the only ones that sometimes, need a little push through the door.
Oh my gosh. It's, I always tell people that the flexibility of the job is both the best thing and the worst thing. It is. I mean, I wouldn't trade it because it's enabled me to live my life in a way that has been really wonderful, especially as a working parent. But, you know, I know myself, and I'm not a terribly disciplined person. And, you know, I have friends who they show up and they get in front of their computer at 9 a.m. and they work till like 5 p.m. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I would get so many more books done if I could make myself do that. But I can't. So
All right. Hi, Julia.
Hi.
Thank you so much for your time. Enjoy your trip to Maui. I took a trip there with my wife a couple of years ago, and we had so much fun. So
Awesome.
Please enjoy it. My question is from Nadine Johnson on Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam.
Mm-hmm.
Nadine would like to know, how do you feel about the way your characters are portrayed on the TV show?
Oh, finally, like not an easy question, but one that like easy for me to answer. I've been getting really hard questions. No, I love it. I mean, it's just, I think it's amazing. And it's, as the person who created the characters, it's really fascinating. So not that I'm trying to like hawk this book so much, but when I was doing this book, I had to go back and not reread my books, but sort of like give them more of a skim than I normally do. And I don't usually reread my novels. I think by the time I finish writing one, I've been with it for so long. I mean, like I've read it like 100 times, and you know, you get to the end, you're like, this is so predictable. I mean, and of course it's predictable. You read it 100 times, it's predictable. So I don't usually go back, but for this to find, you know, the best quotations, I did have to go back and, you know, skim through the books. And what was really, really interesting was I'm not a very visual writer. And so when I am writing the books, I don't have a clear picture of the characters in my head of what they look like or anything, but now I do. And so as I was writing this, I mean, I saw those actors, and it doesn't matter that in the book, Simon has blue eyes. I saw Regé-Jean Page. And I mean, wouldn't we all like to see Regé-Jean Page? Hold on. Every now and then I pull something out from my camera but this one's worth it. I promise. I promise.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
This might be in my favorites, so it's easy to get to.
Oh, yeah. Good one, Julia.
I know, I'm holding it here for a long time in case there's a lag. Yes. Yeah, and or like, you know, the parts with Eloise, the actor who plays her, Claudia Jesse, there's a certain physicality to her motions. Like her Eloise always is a little hunched over, like she needs to get where she's going so fast, her head's going before the rest of her body. And I would see that. And I just, it was just incredible. And I could never be a casting director because I'm so not visual, but I'm in awe of the casting director and the people. Her name is Kelly Hendry, and the people she found to do this. It's just, it's amazing. And then I don't know if you saw, they're on Netflix released a very small clip of season 2 where you get to see the new it's Anthony, who you've seen before, but you also get to see Kate, his love interest, and she's perfect. I was like, oh my gosh, that's Kate. I don't know how they do it, but I think they're all fabulous, and I'm in love with it so much. So yeah, I have nothing but awesome things to say about all the actors. And they're also I've met a few of them. I wouldn't say I know them really well, but they're all just incredibly lovely in real life. It's, from what I understand, it's a really sort of harmonious and familial and supportive set to be on, which is not always the case. I have understood.
Right.
And also, I just want to take a chance. Sorry, everybody keeps thanking me for my time, but I just need to thank all of you. I mean, for your everything. I mean, I can't believe you're thanking me. I want to thank all of you so much for just everything you do, because I mean, your time is, 24 hours a day. And for many of you, I mean, some of you I know are with your families, but I think a lot of people are away from their families on deployments. And so I'm so incredibly grateful. I don't even know how to say how grateful I am.
Well, we appreciate that. I know everybody does.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you guys. Thanks so much for joining us today. Aloha to you all. We should say mahalo, right?
I'll say all the things, because I'm going to be there. I was like, when you're like, it's great weather, and I'm like, yes. So it pretty much always is great weather, but so excited.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you so much for your service. Thanks for your questions, guys. Oh, Julia, so we have another question from Karen Tidwell. And she says, I'd love to hear the story of how the Bridgerton books made their way to Netflix.
Oh, okay. Well, I can tell you, my half of it or my part of it. So I was sitting at Starbucks, as I frequently do. Not so much with COVID. I don't get that. That's actually part of COVID that I really miss. I work at the bar. And I actually have like two of my best friends, people I met there, and it's in my neighborhood. And so I would see people I know, and sometimes they'd be like, oh, I don't want to interrupt you. I'm like, if I couldn't be interrupted, I wouldn't be working here. And for me, it's really nice because I'm what they call an outgoing introvert. I need both interaction and alone time. So I work there a lot so I could see people and say hi. And I get a phone call and it's from my agent. And, I always answer for my agent because usually we email. So a phone call is kind of a big deal. And he said, I just had the most interesting phone call. He said, have you ever heard of Shonda Rhimes? And I said, yes. Yes, I have. And he said, well, I just got a call from her people. And they're wondering if the rights are available to the Bridgerton books. And if so, are you interested in talking with them about developing it? I was like, I can't believe you didn't answer yes right away. You felt the need to even call me like, yes. Like, get off the phone with me, call them right back and tell them yes. So he did. And that was January, I think, of 2017. And so it actually was a whole 18 months before it was publicly announced that this was going to happen. And that was for a number of reasons. Stuff I didn't know at the time that Shonda was, exiting working with ABC and starting to work with Netflix. So when she originally approached, she was not with Netflix. That came a little bit later. And so we were in the middle of negotiations, and all of a sudden, we hear from Netflix saying, okay, we're taking over now. And so that just, went a while. And what I found out much later was that Shonda had been on vacation, and she's a huge reader, and she'd taken, her big stack of books like she always does. And I don't know, maybe it was raining or something, so she had more time to read, but she ran out of books. And wherever she was, there was a copy of one of my books, and she picked it up and she read it. And then she's like, then I went and read everything else. And I can't believe how much my life has changed because Shonda Rhimes did not bring enough books on vacation, but that's honestly what happened. And a lot of my friends asked me, my writer friends are like, well, how did you do it? Were you shopping the books around? Were you showing it to people in Hollywood? And I said, no, because, it's not like it was bad business not to do that. I mean, nobody in Hollywood was adapting romance novels. Mm-hmm. If it was a historical piece like mine, they wanted to do Jane Austen for the 40th time. And don't get me wrong, I'm there for every Jane Austen adaptation. I love them, but I mean, there are a lot of them. But I think, if you do Jane Austen or Bronte or something like that, then you've got this prestige attached to it. And, for contemporary romance novels, which isn't what I do, but for the most part, people were just like, they just wrote their own. They're like, we can write a rom-com. We don't need to adapt your stuff. And I don't think, I think it makes sense that Shonda Rhimes, who is such a visionary and so in tune with what people want in their entertainment, was the one to sort of recognize, wait a minute, millions and millions of women read romance novels and really love them. And these would actually work really well. And there's already like this built-in audience to sort of give it the boost. And so it's no surprise that she was the one to figure that out. But that's basically how it happened. I mean, it's a real Cinderella story. Yeah, there was a lot of luck involved.
You say luck. I don't know, Julia. I mean, well, maybe, but the fact that she loved your book to start, you got to credit yourself for that, I think. Right?
I do. And, but I'm very conscious of the fact that, like, you can be a totally self-made person and I work hard, I have talent, I have all those things, but there's also a lot of stuff going on in my life that is also luck. So it's a real combo. I mean, I'm very fortunate and probably lucky that I have a family that, when I said I'm quitting medical school to write romance novels, where we're all like, that's cool. I mean, not every family would be supportive like that. Or, the fact that I grew up in a family that, was able to support education in the way they did. So, nothing happens in a vacuum. I can do my part, absolutely, but I've got the whole world supporting me in a way that I've been very fortunate and lucky.
Wow, that's beautiful. And you're so humble, Julie. I think it's really refreshing to hear. So thank you for sharing that. We have actually another question from Kayla Brown. She says, do you have any advice for inspiring writers? Do you have any advice to inspire writers on how to get better at spelling and editing?
Oh, that's very specific. Spelling and editing, well, my children would say, have a parent who's a professional writer. My son once said, it was very funny. He was just like, God, he goes, what's it like for somebody whose parents aren't professional writers? And I was like, well, you'll never know. My kids use Grammarly. It's a program. So it's grammar, and then LY. And they find it helpful. I don't, that one, sorry, my nose is just, that one, I don't know. I went to a school that really was hardcore on grammar. You could not graduate from my high school without understanding grammar. And I think it's really important, if you want to be a writer, to know it. So, when you can break the rules too, because I do sometimes break the rules, but when I do, it's generally on purpose for a stylistic reason. Some things I love there. There's a wonderful, I guess, website called Grammar Girl. Her name is Minion Fogarty, maybe. Anyway, Grammar Girl. I follow her on Instagram. I follow her on Facebook. I go to her website. I love Grammar Girl. She's fabulous. And I've heard good things about Grammarly, but to be completely honest, for me personally, I credit just a really good primary and secondary education. And then, a humbleness to look things up. I mean, I still sometimes look up who and whom. I'll be like, I'll be like, and I look it up, and it generally, like, I had it right, but like, I doubt myself. I'll be like, so yeah, I think that's the best thing.
Great. Thank you for that. I'm sure people are writing down the tips on what to look at. So thanks for sharing that. So the previous video questions that we had, Julia, were from members of the USO Virtual Book Club in Europe. But now we actually have a video question from a USO Virtual Book Club member in Japan. So they couldn't join us live. Time difference, obviously. But here's the video question for you.
These readers say thank you. Sincerely, Tatiana Yakota.
Oh. That's so wonderful. I just want to remind all these people who are asking questions and who are watching this, please enter the giveaway so I can send you free books. There'll be 150 of them, and they go, if you have, if you're overseas and you have an APO or FPO mailbox, I can send them to you. So please, free books from me. And I want to give, what, this year, if enough people enter, I will do 200 this year, because I'm just so incredibly touched by everybody who's tuning in from around the world. And I just,
well, what a perfect segue, Julia.
Because last year, I think we had about 150 entries. There weren't that many. So
enter, you could win. That sounds awesome. Well, Julie, just so you know, there are people from around the world joining us today. We've got 24 states, 7 countries. I'm going to list a few just for you to blow your mind. Virginia, Germany, Louisiana, California, Italy, Colorado, Alaska, North Carolina, Arizona, Indiana, Nevada, Hawaii, Texas, New York, Japan, the United Kingdom, Maryland, Oklahoma, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Illinois, Missouri, Kentucky, Wisconsin, Wyoming, Florida, Okinawa, Norway, Georgia, and New Jersey. They're all joining us live today, Julie. And I know hundreds, maybe thousands of folks will watch it again once it's released on YouTube. But thank you so much for spending the time with us. I know everyone really appreciates your humble energy, and you're just refreshing. You're such a joy to talk with. I mean, you said you were good with dialogue before and writing it, but you're also really good, obviously, at speaking. So it translates to your book.
I will say that friends of mine who know me in life, who read my books, will often say they can hear me in the dialogue. So there is that. I am chatty, and it's so exciting to hear that list. Special hi to the Okinawa person. My brother-in-law was stationed there for a while. He's in the Marines. He's no longer, he's out now, but he was in the Marines, and my husband visited him there when he was in Okinawa, and I was so jealous. And he also did a tour in Iraq and 2 in Afghanistan. So, my family, that's actually how I became interested in, doing this giveaway. I mean, I would always say, oh, of course I support our troops. But, it was only when my brother-in-law entered the military that I became part of a military family. And it really opened up my eyes. Suddenly something that was kind of abstract became very personal. And it was really just heartfelt thanks to everybody. Anytime you guys want me back, I'm back. And, should I ever be abroad? And if I can visit book groups, I will. Anything I can do to support troops. Although I will say, I know we're wrapping up. I did visit Joint Base Lewis McChord, which is not far from me. And when I got to I can't remember there's a name for the store, like a PX or something. I don't remember. But I got there and there's this huge long line. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe all these people are here to see me. And it turns out they weren't there to see me. There was somebody in costume from Go Diego Go, I think is it on Nickelodeon? Like Dora the Explorer's cousin, Diego, he was there and they were all there to see Diego. And so somewhere, I should post that too, but somewhere on my website, I have a photo of me with Diego when I visited Joint Base Lewis McChord, because everybody wanted to see Diego and not me. But
oh my gosh, that's amazing.
It was super exciting. I was still very excited to come visit the base.
Oh, well, thank you for being here with us today. It was such a pleasure to talk to you, to meet you. I know that everyone watching around the world is so happy that they had a chance to spend this hour together. And we cannot wait for all the things to come. Thank you for putting out the little teasers for us as well. We're really excited.
Happy birthday to Joelle.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you so much. Julia, it's been a pleasure. Again, thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you so much for doing what you do and doing this giveaway. We're so excited for it as well. So thanks so much for joining us today.